So we've all seen Pokemon be played in a wide variety of ways, one of those being if each trainer used a level 100 Pokemon. But how about the opposite? What if every Mon was level 1? I'm talking my Pokemon, a wild Pokemon, and trainer Pokemon. Would it make the game easier? Harder? Could you even beat the champion? Well, those are the questions that I'm setting out to answer today in Pokemon Emerald. I'll do my best to avoid using healing items in battle as well. Without further ado though, make sure to hit that sub button as it really does help out the channel, and let's get straight into it. Whoa. Time out on the field. Doesn't it stink when you go to your pantry and don't find anything good to eat, and then you come back like 10 minutes later expecting something new to spawn in, but it just doesn't? Well, guess what? Now, Control's got you covered. Control is the best meal replacement out there right now. Not only are their products healthy and convenient, but also incredibly delicious. They got protein bars and cookies that come in all kinds of different flavors. And oh my goodness, don't even get me started on the peanut butter s'mores, they're insane. They offer shakes as well that legitimately taste like cereal, yet pack 23 grams of protein and only 230 calories. And you can save 10% using my code TerraQuake10 at checkout, or up to 30% by using their bundle up feature. So click my link below or visit drinkcontrol.com/TerraQuake to get up to 30% off today. Thank you guys so much for checking out Control, and thank you Control for sponsoring this video. Now let's get straight into it. Now one big detail that I should go ahead and mention is the fact that every Pokemon will retain their moveset, even though their level and stats decrease. In other words, if I come across a level 9 Zigzagoon, it will be level 1, but it'll still know the move Headbutt, since that's what it learns at level 9. This keeps things from getting too repetitive, as seeing Tackle, Growl, and Scratch over and over again would be boring. Anyways, I was unable to edit the starters, or the first Zigzagoon for that matter, so we don't really gotta count the beginning section of the game. After defeating May though, it was time to catch our first bunch of team members. I decided to snag a Wingull and Zigzagoon at the moment, and I went ahead and deposited my Mudkip, meaning it won't ever see the light of day again. Wingull will be a big help in the first gym, as it has Water Gun by default, and a Zigzagoon should come in handy for a little while thanks to having Tackle, which is Stab, something that a lot of these other early game mons don't possess. Route 102 featured our first real trainer battle, and yeah, this is how a good chunk of fights will go. We can't do very much damage to each other, and we're in a speed tie a lot of the time. Oh, and by the way, yes, the dialogue box will say that we gain EXP points, but if you look at the experience bar, it actually doesn't move. Fortunately, there were no other mandatory trainer battles until Rustboro City, but I did catch a Shroomish along the way, as it already has absorbed. Speaking of skipping trainer battles, I'm going to be doing that a good bit for two reasons. Of course, we won't be getting any EXP, but also, with the way the trainer editing works, because everyone's Pokemon are set to level 1, they hardly hand out any prize money. Hopefully, I still have enough Pokédollars to maintain a good amount of Pokeballs and healing items, but I honestly don't know if I will. Nonetheless, Roxanne was a cakewalk thanks to Wingull and Shroomish, but I got a feeling that not every gym leader will be that simple. On the way to Dewford Town, we rescued our GOAT Pico, and I challenged the rival just for fun, and we actually had no issues winning. I gave Zigzagoon Cut, which is unironically one of our best moves at the moment, and that definitely helped out. Afterwards, I caught a Lotad and Taillow. Lotad's Astonish should come in handy against Brawly's Meditite, and Taillow gets Peck right off the bat, so he'll probably be our MVP in the second gym. Before getting there though, I gave the letter to Steven and scooped up a Makuhita and Aron. Unfortunately, the Makuhita I got wasn't level 10 yet, so it doesn't know Arm Thrust. Luckily, the basement floors do feature level 10 to 11 Makuhitas, so I'll come back in a bit to get one. As for Aron, I don't know, it's one of my favorite Gen 3 mons, so hopefully I can find a use for it. Similar to Roxanne, Brawly really wasn't that difficult. Zigzagoon didn't last long against Machop, but Wingull finished him off. Meditite was too occupied with trying to land Focus Punch, so after Brawly spammed Super Potions, even though in this run everyone only needs potions, Lotad took him out. Last up was Makuhita, who didn't stand a chance against Taillow. Before dipping out of town, I picked up that aforementioned new Makuhita and a Geodude, because maybe it'll help us in the electric type gym. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is how annoying wild mons are in this run. Obviously, repels don't work since we're all the same level, and half of the time, I can't even run away from the encounter. Nonetheless, the third match with May was just as easy as the first two. Even her Grovyle went down without much of a fight. Up in Mauville City, Wally's Ralts got downgraded to level 1, and I really feel bad for him. I mean, his Ralts is already bad enough as is. To the west, I kind Illumise, and I don't know if this thing will really put in much work, but I do believe these types of Pokemon that don't evolve could possibly play a big part in this challenge. As I thought, Watson was our first real test. Thanks to Voltorb building Rollout, Geodude couldn't even get the knockout. Eventually, he just blew up, and Shroomish managed to take care of Electrike, but Magneton was the real wall here. Not only do I have 0 good attacks for it, but Magneton knows Sonic Boom, a move that does guaranteed 20 damage, meaning it can OHKO my entire squad. I even tried teaching Bulk Up to that new Makihita, who, by the way, still doesn't know Arm Thrust, but that didn't help at all. Now, you might be wondering, why doesn't it have Arm Thrust? Well, it turns out that wild Pokemon don't work how I initially thought. You see, trainers have their normal movesets, but wild Mons only know the attacks they get at level 1, so a good portion of my Mons don't have the movesets that they should. Therefore, I worked some of my magic to give my team members the moves they should know in order to actually make things fair. As a result, Aron had Mud Slap and Makihita did know Arm Thrust, both of which played a huge role in us finally overcoming Watson. In between Route 111 and the Meteor Falls, I caught some important Mons like Torkoal, Skarmory, Seviper, and Solrock. However, some of them took multiple Pokeballs to catch, which is not a good thing, because again, money is hard to come by right now. My newly beefed up team had no problems pummeling Maxie though, so it was on to Flannery. After dealing with her Numel and Slugma, it got a little sketchy against Camerupt thanks to Slugma's light screen. So I let Seviper fall to stall some turns, allowing Wingull to get in for the KO. Torkoal couldn't touch Solrock, so once I finally broke through Paralysis and landed a Rock Throw, the 4th badge was ours. By the way, this was most likely Wingull's final hoorah, as there are much better water types coming up. We also achieved the 5th badge after a family feud with our dad. Yeah, this one was one of many boring, slow, chip-away type of battles, and half of my team did meet their fate. Ultimately, everything worked out because Makihita's Arm Thrust is just so good. I think that's because having a multi-hit move for Pokemon that hardly have any hit points works out great. The trek to Four Tree City featured a wild Pelipper that I added to the squad, because it's basically an upgrade from Wingull, especially now that we have Surf, and another easy defeat of May. I swear you could give her all level 100 Pokemon and she would still somehow find a way to lose. On Route 120, I picked up a Mightyena, as although its only decent move is Bite, it could still come in handy in the Moss Deep Gym. For now though, our focus was on Winona. Her Swablu and Tropius had no shot, so it was on to Altaria. She set up with 2 Dragon Dances, but still couldn't do a lot to Solrock. So I guess since everyone's stats are so low, raising or lowering them doesn't really do much. Or maybe I'm just underestimating Solrock's defense. Anyways, Pelipper only took down Mightyena thanks to my awful confusion luck, so Skarmory had to clean up the mess. Last out was Winona Skarmory, who got burnt to a crisp by Torkoal. Something that I somehow didn't notice when Steven was first showing us the Devon Scope was that the Kecleons are actually level 30 like normal. I guess that's because they're considered static encounters as opposed to being found in grass or caves, but that's pretty funny. Because Archie is as smart as a pile of bricks, he took the wrong orb off the top of Mount Pyre. Before we could get to our saving the world arc though, we had to challenge May one more time. After doing so, the department store opened up, and this is a good time to mention that one nice thing about this playthrough is I only have to purchase potions. I mean, when everyone only has like 12 HP, I don't have to waste money on hyper and max potions. Additionally, I've been gathering berries that I've come across, as even Oran or citrus berries could come in handy. Anyways, washing away Maxie and storming the Aqua Hideout didn't cause us issues, so it was on to Tate and Liza. Remember when I said Mightyena would make this gym easier? Well, we hardly even needed him. The combo of Pelipper, Surf, and Solrock's Rock Throw wreaked havoc, so the 7th badge was ours in no time. Alright, this was pretty hilarious. Steven's Pokemon weren't affected, so he just steamrolled through the double battle in the Space Center with his level 42 Metang, while I just sat back and did nothing. Unsurprisingly, Archie didn't put up much of a fight, so I then woke up Rayquaza so he could put the kids back to sleep in their cribs. With the disaster avoided, we moved on to the toughest gym in the game. Yeah, I didn't have a grass or electric type, so Juan kind of dominated us. Pelipper whittled down Love Disc, but Whiscash got revenge and nearly took out Skarmory as well. The problem came with Celio of all mons. Its Water Pulse dishes out a ton of damage, and of course I get confused by it a bunch. Solrock and Torkoal fell, so Mightyena came in for the finish. He also took care of Crawdaunt, but I just didn't have enough firepower left for Kingdra. As a result, I backtracked to catch a Tropius, who did help out against Whiscash, but besides that, Celia was still giving us problems. Like, is this thing 10 times faster than I thought? Many failed tries later, and we finally didn't get confused by Water Pulse or frozen by Ice Beam, so I made it to Kingdra with 4 Mons alive. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I still only made it through because of a crit with Seviper's Poison Tail. I mean, who forgot to update me on the latest patch notes saying Juan is now the best trainer ever? Okay, maybe I shouldn't have felt bad for Wally earlier, because while most of his team was easy to deal with in Victory Road, his Magneton swept my whole squad. I just don't have anything good for an electric steel type, let alone steel types in general. Minus my boy Aron, who I brought back on the team just for this battle. Thanks to a single Mud Slap, Wally fell for the second time. And with that, we were at the Pokemon League. We definitely needed some better type coverage, so I decided to drop Skarmory for the Makuhita from way earlier in the game. First of all, we don't need 3 flying types, and the Hariyamas in Victory Road aren't too helpful since they don't come with fighting type attacks. This team doesn't really look like it can get the job done, but hey, let's find out if I'm wrong. Oh, by the way, shout out to this lady on Mount Chimney who sells lava cookies, as they are much cheaper than Full Heals, so I was able to get a lot after selling some items. Well, early on my team looked like Bob the Builder because they could definitely do the job. Makuhita was absolutely clapping Sydney's team.
Phrasing?
And Mightyana's Bite was too much to handle for Phoebe. I was a bit nervous going into the Glacia battle because, man, I've struggled with being frozen recently. Don't freeze. Are you insane?
A few moments later.
But lo and behold, we managed to get by. Drake is where things came to a halt though. Shelgon and Flygon weren't an issue, but Salamence dominated Solrock and Mightyena before falling to Seviper. However, a lot of my team was weak at that point, so Altaria easily wiped out the rest. Let me detour real fast and teach Pelipper Ice Beam, and then see how things change. Hey, what can I say? They don't call me Albert Einstein Jr. for nothing. Having Ice Beam made Salamence and Altaria a mute point, so last up was Kingdra, who fainted to a 3-hit arm thrust. Yo, Wallace, imagine being the champion and only having level 1 Pokemon. Couldn't be me. Okay, in all seriousness, his Wailord couldn't withstand a single Razor Leaf, and Milotic caught Makuhita's hands. Whiscash met the same fate as Wailord, and although Tentacruel caused some problems, mainly because Wallace is about to be on the show My Strange Addiction since he loves full restores, Pelipper eventually swooped down for the kill. As for this loser Ludicolo, he tried to spam Double Team, but Tropius was having none of it. Gyarados was Wallace's last gasp, but thanks to a critical Razor Leaf, my team of babies entered themselves in the Hall of Fame. Now, do I still win if we don't crit there? I don't know. I'm gonna take it though. Alright, I gotta say, that was pretty fun. Don't get me wrong, some battles got tedious and repetitive at times, but it was cool to see some unlikely heroes carry us to and through the Elite Four like Aron and Makuhita. I also just thought it was funny seeing a bunch of level 1 Mons duke it out, and not to mention, I've never seen a playthrough like this before, which I think is great because it shows that despite Pokemon's long history, people are still finding new ways to play through the classic titles. If you want to support the channel further, consider becoming a member as you get some cool perks like videos early and receiving a shout out on the outro screen. For now though, have a great rest of your day, and until next time, deuces.